Hey folks, this is Anthony with Bellingham Brothers Productions. I am usually the host for Metal Monday. I also do retrospectives with that guy with the Soviet sweatshirt. Anything else really on the channel, you'll see me quite a bit. And over to this guy.
And I'm Doug with Bellingham Bros Productions. I will do most of your extreme metal reviews and mini metal reviews. Maybe pop in every once in a while, but
yeah, and
you'll see me for.
I'm gonna try and see if he can do a lot of like other stuff as well.
We'll see what I'm willing to do if you.
Yeah, I do like what he thinks about a lot of stuff. But anyways, what I
might have
decided
to bind me up for.
Duct tape to your wall.
Duct tape me to a wall.
Yeah.
Keep me in front of the camera.
So what I decided to do for this video is I decided to showcase some of the albums that we bought recently, like CDs, jewel case, you know, whole nine. And I just wanted to do this because I figured it'd be nice to showcase some of the stuff that we listen to that doesn't really make it onto the show per se, and just give some recommendations as to what we like. And I'll be going first because I only have 2. He'll be going second because he has 4 albums to show. And one of them he actually is going to be doing a review on later tonight. So I'll see if I can put that up for you as well soon. So
we like to brag about how many more CDs we have than you.
Oh yeah, yeah. I went from zero metal CDs to like 13 in 2 months. So. And that's pretty good for me.
Part of it's just finding the right deal.
Oh yeah. Oh man. One of the
having a good record store with used CDs nearby can be kind of a lifesaver.
Oh, it's fantastic, especially the fact that like with this first one. Oh well, sorry, second one. I'm going to talk about that second. With that second one, you can order CDs in, and I wouldn't have been able to get this, and I'm guessing some other places because it's a debut album and it's a Finnish album. But anyways, I'll start it off with my first album. And this is probably up on my top 10 list of heavy metal albums of all time. And it's also in one of my top 10 bands of all time. It is Mastodon's Crack the Skye. Now, the reason why I love this album so much is that it's got such a high replay value for me. I can keep listening to it through the day and not get tired of it. Each song sounds different, yet thoroughly the same in... Like, it sounds like the band.
It's a very atmospheric album,
yeah,
and one of the big things about, I think, that they were trying to go for in the album was creating this sort of grand, sort of overarching atmosphere that sort of fits in with this single concept they were going
yeah, very spacey at the same time,
it was
very
psychedelic
focused.
album in a way.
And another interesting thing I found about the album is that the title track, Crack the Skye, it's about the drummer's sister who, at the young age of 14, committed suicide, and it's very tragic.
Pretty heavy stuff.
Oh yeah, throughout the song, it's the narrator trying to come to grips with the fact that this person, and they don't explicitly say it's his sister, but they tries to come to grips with the fact that he's lost this loved one. And at the end of the song, it actually says something along the lines of "Satan, you won't have her; she's too pure," and that is powerful and beautiful. I really love it.
Yeah. Well, and that night, I just felt there was a lot of different ideas they were trying to go with on that album, but I think it was all very focused on this concept of astral journeys and this sort of out of body experience and this very, very spiritual kind of concept.
As you can see from this very Tool looking album art here, it looks very much so like something that Tool would put out, where it's very, I don't want to say silly, but very
colorful for sure.
Yeah, it's very colorful.
Psychedelic fits with that theme. They also, in the album, I just like to point out, there was a bit of talking about old a bit of talking about Rasputin and the old Tsarist Russia type things.
Yeah, and actually,
it was a big part of it. It was part of the album. He was in a few songs. He was mentioned.
What I do love about that track, it's called the Tsar.
Right.
It's divided into 4 movements, which is fantastic. I love it when songs can hit that point where they become sort of an orchestration, where they have different movements and different
a lot of different emotions
through each different parts.
Yeah.
And again, just I can't praise this album highly enough. It's probably up there. I want to say my top 5 of all time. I love it, and I'm so happy I finally got the chance to buy it because I've been looking for this for months. Now on to my second album pickup. This is Sons of Aeon. It is their debut album, and it's a melodic death metal outfit out of Finland.
Well,
and
they sort of know what to do.
Oh, they really do.
They practically invented the genre. Well, Sweden.
Yeah,
sort of the guys.
just
but
the Netherlands around there.
yeah, well, North Europe. Those guys know what they're doing when it comes to melodic death metal. But,
And
yeah.
one of the things that caught my eye about this album is that we live in the Pacific Northwest here in the United States, and this album art reminds me heavily of something that I would see in my own hometown. It's a bleak lighthouse sitting off at the end of a pier.
Well, the color scheme is very Pacific Northwest. A lot of
it's very downplayed.
Right. Well, and some bands from this area, Agalok, which has a lot of members from Oregon and guys who even lived around where we live, and even I would say some of the other Cascadian black metal bands like Wolves in the Throne Room. They'll use very desaturated, oftentimes grayish, less colorful album covers, and of course that's kind of superficial talking about the album cover, but it's kind of evocative of sort of the mood.
It's something something that we live with here with a bit of the weather. So it just really caught my eye, and I started listening to it. And I'll put a link up to it. And I'm so happy that the band did this because this is what set me on buying this album. They're streaming the whole thing on this Finnish metal article magazine, whatever online thing, and it's an interesting mix of melodic death metal, but with hints here and there of doom. I guess it is doom metal.
So a bit maybe like A Swallow the Sun kind of had a bit of stuff like that.
In a way, yeah. There's some parts where it slows down and it gets very dark. And another thing, it sounds very much like something that would come out of our neck of the woods.
Right. It catches that sort of spirit and mood of our area.
And also, I really wanted to support an up-and-coming band. It's a debut album. I wanted to try and get my money out to somebody who's trying to make a name in the business. So I figured might as well start with them, and I'm really happy I did. I'm so happy I did. So you guys should check it out. I'll put a link to the stream in the description section. And so that's about it for me. And take it on over for Doug. Show his albums.
Well, you see, I make a bit more money than Anthony with my job.
Yeah, minimum wage.
Well, yeah, and I've been in the job longer, so I get a few more. So one of the things I didn't personally buy, but a little shout out to my nice girlfriend for getting this for me.
Yeah.
This is Helloween's new album.
Oh, also our backdrop for this video, by the way.
Backdrop for the video, so I figured it'd be good to show it off. It is Straight Out of Hell. It was just released on the 22nd, so she actually somehow managed to get it for me a day before it was released here in the States, so that was kind of cool. For all you people in Europe, screw you, you get it early. I don't care.
I hate them. They always get good music.
They get the good stuff early, and they get all the good bands touring. We don't get. I'd love to have all the great bands. Like, when is Saxon? Helloween, when are you gonna announce your American tour dates? You've announced all your European ones. Get on over here. Anyways, so this album was Helloween has a bit of an interesting history because after Kai Hansen was replaced by Michael Kiske on vocals. Kiske, after Hansen left the band, Kiske sort of tried taking over and he kind of screwed it up. So they got this other guy, Darius, after they kicked Kiske out of the band, and rightfully so. And he's sort of been it seems like he's been building up his niche in the band, and the band's sort of been recovering from these two horrible albums they released. Chameleon and Pink Bubbles Go Ape.
By the way, Pink Bubbles Go Ape is one of the best album titles ever for just how stupid it is.
And well, the album was kind of fitting for most part.
Yeah.
But they've been sort of returning to form. They had some good albums. And one of the I think they've really come back in recent years. They released Gambling with the Devil. Then they had in 2010 their album Seven Sinners was actually really good. It was very heavy, a little more thrashy than most Helloween releases. But this was a bit of a return to form for Helloween into sort of the power metal genre. I felt it was a lot more focus on just the power metal elements that really made Helloween who they were. So I liked it as an old school Helloween fan. Some of the people that were more into the Seven Sinner style, which was more heavy and thrashy, might not enjoy this as much, but I feel like it's a good balance between the extra edge that Darius gives the band and the sort of soaring, cheesy power metal stuff, and has a lot of good instrumental parts.
Yeah. Although I do have to say, as I've said in other videos, I'm still fairly new to the metal game. I just got into it in my junior year in high school, and I'm now in my freshman year at college. Yeah, noob. I know. But hey, at least I got into the game.
Right, at least. Better late than never, right?
Yeah, and I never really listened to Helloween before. I got Keeper of the Seven Keys from a friend. He gave the files to me. Yeah, file sharing, I know.
Yeah. Metallica's gonna come after you.
Fucking Lars. Anyways, and I mean they're okay, but you know it wasn't something I'd put on every day. But I guess it's probably because that's like the beginnings of power metal.
Right.
But I do have to say, with this album, which, by the way, he brought it over with his girlfriend when they came to hang out once. And I was really just blown away because I'd never heard, well, other than, say, Nocturnal Rites, who I really love.
Nocturnal Rites.
Helloween, this album, it was really heavy, but at the same time, it was obviously power metal because there's these really chuggy and chunky chorus or verse parts.
Yeah.
And the choruses are still like, you know, high flying and singing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
I felt the album had a good amount of variation on just the style of songs you got on it. There were some songs I felt were maybe a bit sort of hard rock, but there was enough really good power metal stuff. And Andy Darius, one thing I like about his voice is he has there's a lot of sort of grit and edge to his voice. So when he sings, there's a bit more power to it. I feel than say Skye, who sounds a bit he had a bit more of like a Jeff Tate kind of voice. Anyways, so that was a good album. And I would say I would definitely recommend checking it out. Buy it for sure. We want to keep them doing what they do good.
Yeah, I recommend checking it out too.
Now, next on my list was something a little older. This is Amok by Sentenced. Sentenced was a Finnish band. They were sort of a legacy in their style, but this is the last album they did before, I believe it was right before Cold White Light. This is the last album that they did where they were still doing the melodic death metal style, and this was back in 1995. So this was still when it was a kind of a young genre.
Yeah. Oh,
so,
real quick, sorry to interject, but he's pretty much going to be taking over on this one because I haven't really heard it, and I haven't listened to the band, and I don't really know much about him. So.
Well, you can hear my take on it at least.
Yeah, I'm gonna be ripping it onto my computer tonight, though. That's for sure.
For sure. The album is I mean it's for what it was a really good, well executed melodic death metal album. You get some great solos, great instrumental parts on it. You can tell they're really talented guys. Maybe by today's standards, it doesn't have much like anything too unique, I would say, going on it. But it was really good for what it was, and you can tell that they were a really talented group, just by what they're able to do. And this was sort of it was interesting just to hear because it's their last one before they start moving towards the more, it was sort of a more gothic metal. Well, it wasn't quite gothic metal, but it wasn't quite melodic death metal, I would say. So it was a good album, I would say. And a recommended listen. Next one, speaking of gothic metal, I got.
Ooh, this one, yeah.
This is the 1996 album by Moonspell. Irreligious is the name of the album. And this was an interesting one. This was right after they released their album Wolfheart. And Wolfheart, if you guys are fans of Moonspell, it was a bit more of an extreme metal album. And this one, it was like with Sentenced, it was sort of this transition into this more gothic metal. I mean, obviously they were still sort of gothic metal when they did Wolfheart, but this was them really sort of figuring out the whole gothic metal thing. And I would say it's one of the best examples of the genre.
Yeah. And didn't you actually tell me that Real quick, I gotta tell you guys something. I got Moonspell's newest album,
Right,
the double album that they had, and I really liked all the instrumentals. They were very good, but the vocalist just
vocals
annoyed
were
the
a
shit
little-
out. It's like he was throwing up like into the microphone.
It was the more throaty metalcore type.
Yeah,
vocals.
it was very annoying. But
Yeah.
he told me that this was
It
a
was
bit different.
it was different. There's a bit more clean singing on this album, so it's kind of if you know Typo Negative, it's a bit like Pete Steele type vocals mixed with some good harsh vocals, but it never feels intrusive. And it's got it's just got the kind of good dark atmosphere that you'd want from a sort of gothic metal album. It's the instrumental parts are great, and it has a good feeling about it. It's very unified as a piece of work, and it was just a good album.
Yeah.
I would say it's something splendid.
Yeah.
And finally,
Real quick though, from what I've heard of the band so far, I do recommend it upon a strictly instrumental base from my taste.
Right.
Again, I haven't heard the vocals on this album,
right.
but they are an incredibly talented group of
Definitely.
individuals.
Well, this is sort of them. I would say this is one of the most like honed albums.
Yeah.
This was sort of, I would say, one of the big peaks of gothic metal. I mean, it was before it became kind of a gimmicky thing.
Yeah.
This was sort of more the when it was still kind of a new passionate thing.
It was
cool.
sort of a bit like how The Cure was the real goth thing,
Right,
or the real
right.
emo thing.
Real emo thing. This was sort of like goth metal before Hot Topic got to it. Let's say.
Hot Topic, man.
Yeah.
Anyways,
right.
on to his last one.
Finally, I'm doing a review of this one. This is Communion by Septicflesh.
We'll be brief on this one because you can get his full thoughts on it.
Yeah, I'll be talking about this soon.
Yeah, when I can post the review, you'll get his full thoughts on it. And I do have to say, I really like what he did with the review. So let's continue on.
Enough ass kissing. For
Yeah.
now.
Yeah,
But,
my nose is brown, but I don't care.
Yeah, it's all right. I appreciate it. This one I'll have to be short on it, but this is if you want symphonic metal and you want something really extreme, like one thing you'll notice with a lot of symphonic metal, if you're tired of stuff that just feels too cheesy, this is symphonic metal with a really dark and brutal edge.
Yeah.
It blows any of your preconceptions about the genre out of the water.
Yeah.
So I would say it's a pretty powerful album. One complaint I had about it is that sometimes it just felt a little short. I can listen to the entire album in one sitting, but maybe it just feels short because it's a really good one.
And my thoughts on it, because I have this one. He let me rip it earlier, and I've actually already listened to it through all the way before with him. And I do have to say, it's fantastic. Like I'm with him on a lot of his thoughts on symphonic metal just being too overtly cheesy in a lot of places. I won't say any band names because I don't want to start any flame wars.
We don't want to start any wars here.
No, but this one, it's very good. It's symphonic metal that I've never really heard. It's in a brand that I've never heard before. It's so dark and intense, and I really did like it. And
I think part of it, one of the things that appealed to me was one thing I don't hear with a lot of symphonic metal, with the way they organize if they're working with an orchestra, say. One of the things I don't notice as much that Septicflesh really did well when they worked with the Prague Philharmonic Orchestra. They really chose it for a reason because they've done work with like horror movies before. So when the guitarist he composes all the symphonic lines for it. And he had them play it. He really went for melodies that had a bit of a darker edge to them.
Yeah.
It's orchestral parts that really felt foreboding and ominous. And I think that's what something I don't hear in a lot of symphonic metal where they use the orchestral parts to create this ominous and more dark and foreboding atmosphere.
Yeah, it's always more the happy-go-lucky.
Right. Well, it's the more epic type thing, or this orchestra for the sake of creating big epic symphonic scores, whereas this was something menacing. I felt this was something else.
Really, the only I will have to say some of the good that they've done, but Nightwish's new album Imaginarium which I really like. I very much so like that album. That was one of my favorites from 2011.
It was pretty good.
But what they did with their not electronic, orchestral parts,
Right.
Not in the same way that Septicflesh did, because theirs is like very evil.
It's a unique and evil style.
But their Imaginarium sounded very brooding. So what I liken that to this.
I thought it was interesting. I mean, Nightwish have had some good works before, but generally, as a rule, just with their music, I've noticed most of the stuff I hear is just, we're trying to make it sound more epic or something.
Luckily, with their new singer, they sort of got around that. But
right.
I think that they actually fired her too. The new singer.
I'm pretty. Yeah, they did.
They
did.
She quit.
Something happened, but
yeah. I'll have to check that out later. But
we don't want to sound like idiots.
Oh no. But anyways, so that was the albums that we picked up recently. We're probably going to be doing another one of these videos fairly soon, as I'd like to pick up some other stuff. You'll see it when I get it. And he's most definitely going to be picking up some other stuff before another video. So this is Tony with Bellingham Brothers Productions.
And this is Doug with Bellingham Brothers Productions.
And we are signing off. Have a good whatever you're watching this video on. And yeah, we'll see you guys later.
Bye-bye. All right, that was good.
Yeah.